The Catholic bishops have just issued their annual social justice statement, and this year it's on housing. The reason they've chosen this topic is because housing has become a real crisis for our country. The cost of housing is outpaced people's earnings. At a time when many people, their earnings are stagnant, or in some cases people have been casualised, or their wage rates are lower, and they've actually gone backwards economically. So it's become much harder for people to be able to afford their housing. On the one hand, why has this happened? Because over the years, people have been rejoicing, homeowners have been rejoicing that the value of their properties has been rising. And this was great for a little while, but then the penny started to drop. That the other side of the coin is that they're pricing the next generation out of the possibility of owning their own home. So this has been a real disaster in social policy, and we need to change it to make sure that housing is affordable for everybody. If you have a little family, imagine what it would be like if, because of a social distress or a breakup of a family, you have to live with a couple of children in a car. To live like. There are people living like this. That's an extreme case, of course, but it's happening around us. And when people try to find emergency accommodation, it's very, very difficult. So we know that the bishops say in their statement that about 116,000 people are suffering insecure housing. Some people, extreme, sleeping rough, sleeping out at night in difficult conditions. We're all familiar with it from our major cities now. People even sleeping in the street at night. We haven't seen this before. It's a very new situation, and it's distressing to see. And we think, how can this happen in a country such as Australia? But it's not just those people who are struggling to find accommodation. Some are couch surfing, as they call it, living with, staying on a spare bed in somebody's house while they try to find a secure housing. But there are nearly 900,000 people who are suffering from housing stress. And of course we know that the pressure of trying to pay your housing bills puts a lot of stress on families. It means people are trying to work two jobs, they're not giving enough time to their families, they're getting not just stressed at work but stressed at home, and often going without other essentials in order to pay the rent. So this is a very serious situation, and requires some really hard policy thinking. Requires governments to step up to the mark, means changing policies so that housing prices stabilise or even reduced where possible, and that there is a supply of houses adequate to meet the demand. We realise that the population is growing strongly in Australia. We have lots of overseas students that must be housed. But this is not within we're a very rich country. Surely we can do this. So this is an appeal to people, to the policy makers, to the business community, to the real estate people. How can we work together to get affordable housing for everyone?